Welcome to the System to Success show. On this show, we'll cover the best growth advice from top CEOs in North America and beyond. On each episode, your host, Jay Crutchfield, he's a former software engineer turned entrepreneur, created and maintained online marketing, online sales, and fulfillment systems for global brands. He offers non-traditional wisdom about business systems mastery, while his guests share the story of how they built their companies. Jay and his guests talk entrepreneurship, digital marketing, strategy, and business principles. But they also talk about what it means to be human with all the ups and downs, advances, and setbacks. And what he does is he takes his information and strategies that has helped catapult global brands and brings that to the small business owner to give them that advantage. Make sure to subscribe and follow for more of these business system mastery principles.
To today's episode of the System to Success show. I'm your host, Jay Crutchfield, and on today's episode, we're going to talk about beware of the marketing illusion. So if you've ever seen a magic trick be done, there is an illusion there, and the magician is counting on us really focusing on what's in front of us and not what's behind the cape or what's behind the curtain. And so have you ever seen an advertisement and it seemed like everyone and their mama was winning from this new secret, right? And so as I'm looking at it, man, it feels like sometimes, not every one of them, but sometimes I'm watching it and on this wannabe Oprah Winfrey's show, like somebody is trying to be like Oprah Winfrey, where the advertiser is pointing to the audience and saying, you get a check, you get a check, you get a check. Everybody gets a check. But then when you take the check out, you look at it and it seems faker than that paper check that you get in the mail, right? From a car dealership. You can't cash that, right? And then you see testimonial after testimonial. And you even see someone's 2-year-old daughter is making $10,000 a month from this new method, right? And so there's an illusion that's happening in this, right? And so just thinking about it, okay, what's an illusion? What's an illusion? It's a thing that is or likely to be wrongly perceived or interpreted by the senses, right? By what we see, what we touch, taste, feel, right? And what we hear, right? It's being focused. That's the focus point on it. And so those things come into play when we see these testimonials and when we see these advertisements. Now, don't be trying to take this as I'm hating on these folks, because I run advertisers myself. and to be honest, we're all in the same boat. Even if you're not running advertisements, you're doing this thing. And we're going to talk about that now, right? Right. So there's some magic being done, right, with this marketing. And I'm not talking about some dark arts type of magic, right? I'm talking about this wonderful, exciting, right, way of doing something, and something we're seeing because it's really influencing our senses, right? And so there's 3 things that we're really asking when we see this advertisement as it's coming in, and we may not even know it. Like, we'll look at it as we're saying, okay, is she, are they trustworthy? Then what's in it for me? And the next thing they're looking at is, can I really do this thing? All right. And so they use what's known as exceptions. And I shouldn't say they, we use exceptions to woo you and bring you in. Oh man, I'm giving some juice. I'm giving the sauce. It's about to get spicy. Right? We're doing that to persuade you so that you see that it is simple for you, right? Because if someone gives you the long laundry list of what it actually takes to accomplish it, you probably wouldn't do it. All right. And so focusing on simplicity and then answering those three questions is what gets us in the door. Okay, you may be thinking, okay, well, how do I even do that, right? How do I do that myself and still be ethical, still operate with integrity, right? And so I would encourage you to look at and review Blair Warren's one sentence persuasion. And so we're focusing on 5 key items that assist with persuading someone. And we do this stuff, whether we know it or not. Your family does it. So it's not just marketers, right? It's all of us doing this. Okay, so looking at this, so we go over the 5 things and I'll give a quick example of each. And so the first one is people will do anything for those who encourage their dreams. So if you've ever seen the movie Jingle Jangle with Forrest Whitaker, it's really a movie on belief, right? And so Forrest Whitaker's granddaughter in that movie, what happens is Forrest Whitaker's apprentice steals some intellectual property, right? And makes millions off of it while Forrest Whitaker is closed down and depressed and in poverty on that side, struggling to pay his bills. And his granddaughter is one that encourages him and builds him up to let him know that he can make toys again and that he can get this toy that with the intellectual property that was like a toy that's alive, and he can do it again and do it better and even get that toy back and bring justice to Forrest Whitaker, to his character, right? And so it made him alive. And so he did all these things with his granddaughter. So people will do anything for those that encourage their dreams. Justify their failures. I think about some family, and you may tell, something may happen as far as like, okay, let's say you're in school and you don't do well on an exam and you're talking to like your grandmother, and this may not fit everybody's grandmother, right? You may be talking to your grandmother and say, hey, the teacher brought up and made us do this pop quiz and I failed this exam. And grandma might say, hey, baby, it's not your fault. Right? They're justifying your position so you feel better about the experience, even though it's not really doing anything to change it. You're feeling better in that moment about it. Okay, the next one is allay their fears. Allay meaning to diminish, right? Put to rest, put to bed those fears. And so that's an example of that could be a daughter running out of the bed, running to their parents' room and saying, Mommy, Daddy, there's monsters under the bed, right? And Dad be like, sweetie, let me go in there with you. Let's go ahead and go to bed. I'll go in the room with you. There's no monsters under the bed. They turn the light on and check under the bed, look under and say, hey, see, baby, there's no monsters under this bed. And so what did he do? He put to rest that fear of the monsters being under the bed. All right. And then next one, the fourth, is confirm their suspicions. Hearing and seeing articles online or videos saying Tupac is alive, and somebody's looking at it like, I knew Tupac was chilling in the Cayman Islands. All right. The next one, the fifth one, the last one, is help them throw rocks at their enemies. Now, everyone has some enemies. It may not be with a person. It may be with a failure. It may be through some challenge that's going on. Or when I say failure, meaning, you're in that lesson learning phase. It may be dealing with some person, a challenging relationship, right? Everyone has an enemy. And so an example of throwing rocks at those enemies is when the teaming up on the movie The Black Panther, if you've seen that, right? There was this character, Killmonger, who Michael B. Jordan plays, and he teamed up with this guy named Claw. And Claw was looking at him and saying, and telling him, he was like, man, like, those folks in Wakanda, they have the vibranium and they need to be doing something more than, and well, let's take this vibranium and use it for ourselves. Those people in Wakanda are savages. And so what was he doing? He was throwing rocks at the enemy because Killmonger had some enemies in Wakanda. And so he was throwing rocks at them, meaning like he was putting fire on the flame that was already lit. And so they teamed up to fight against them, right? And so those are the 5 items. Those are the things that assist with persuasion. And we all do those things, right? We may not do all of them at the same time, but that makes it the most effective in our marketing. We may not do all of them at the same time, but we do different parts of this, even in our communications with people, maybe even unknowingly at times. All right. So remember, it's an illusion. Those testimonials are exceptions. They're not going to tell you all the process, and we're not always going to tell you all the process. But the point is to make it simple so that you see that the person is trustworthy, that you have something that you can get as a result out of it, right? Right. And that that you can do it. And so that's the most important thing is putting that belief up to another level so that you'll take action and that you won't stay stagnant or stay stuck or stay comfortable in a place and position that you don't want to be in. And so it's really assisting with moving you forward in what you actually want to accomplish. All right. All right. So hope you enjoyed this episode of the System to Success show. Make sure to subscribe and follow for more business systems, marketing, mastery principles. Look forward to seeing you on the next episode.